So I'm going to take a planet section from the 3D model here to create a plan. I'm going to create a clipping plane to temporarily clip the model. Plan cut would be, because this one's like got a sloping floor, you could also angle your clipping plane. Captures that. I'll just use the gumball. So, down. Perfect. Okay. And then you want to, anytime you do a Make2d, you set your viewport to whatever projection you want and select the stuff you want to do your drawing of, type in Make2d and press it. And in here you want to make sure you have maintain source layers turned on, clipping plane intersections. In this case, you don't need scene silhouettes. That's mostly for Axon. But you can leave it on. And click OK. Second, so Make2ds always show up in the top view near the 0, 0 point of your file. So go to a different viewport, go to top view, viewport where you don't have your clipping plane turned on. So there's your Make2d, and you should have a series of layers that were created in your layers panel. And so there's like 3 categories. Or there's really just 2 that should be in this drawing, which is curves, which are all the lines in the drawing, and then there's clipping plane intersections, which are all the lines that are being cut through our objects. So those are the things that are your plan cut. So if you select all of those layers, so right-click on that category and go to Select Sublayer Objects, that should select everything that's on the beneath. And those are the things you obviously want. So what I like to do is just put them on the layers that I've created with my line weights. So I just right-clicked on that layer and change object to layer. They've changed color. Now you probably want more than just 2 line weights, but for demonstration purposes. So the other lines I'll put on my light line weight. So again, just right-click, select sublayer objects, right-click on the layer you want them on, and change object there. I'm just moving the lines from one layer to another. And now if you put this onto a layout, and then set the layout preview, should be able to tell kind of how your line weights are looking. Obviously the Make2d process is not perfect. You will always need to do some cleanup. Also my structure, the way I modeled my structure clearly is not perfect. So you guys will do a better job, I know. Anyway, so then you would go in here and adjust line weights and colors. Do the same with my section. So I typically will make, if I make a planar section, I'll leave my clipping plane so that if I ever need to add something to my drawing, if I change my model or something, update my drawing, I would need to do another B, so I don't want to lose like the section of my clipping. So for now, I'll just turn this one off. So select it, go to Properties, and uncheck it. Your clipping plane options. I turned it off in this viewport. And then I'm going to make another clipping plane that is my cut plane. This time I just typed in clipping plane, I'll choose vertical one. So x-axis. Cutting through that window, I want to be a little bit further. And remember, you can always flip the direction of your clipping plane just by selecting it. Clipping plane for the properties and hit flip direct. Then the only trick to, so for instance, right now I could just put my viewport into front view, I think, and that is oriented to my, but let's say I wanted to tilted one that's oriented to like that side of my building. How do I orient my view to that, not like exactly on an X or Y axis? And that's what you would use C-planes for. So that's how to do that. I'll orbit so I'm in 3D. Type in C-plane. C-plane just stands for construction plane, temporary plane. And I want to just trace my plane. Use the option 3-point. Map to the bottom left corner, bottom right corner, top corner. You can see that plane in my model has now been oriented plane. And now I can actually orient view that plane. So then you would type in set view plane and choose top. But when I drew that plane, I did it where like red is the x-axis, green is the y-axis. So like that's the top view directly at that top. Now I've oriented my view to exactly how I've oriented it. Then I would also recommend at this point to save your view. Go through those steps a bunch of times. So there's a panel called named view. Just type that in and press enter. And in here you can save any view. And the nice thing about that too is that it'll also save your C-planes, stuff like that. So if I hit save as, I'll call my section. Already done one section 2. And so no matter what I do in this viewport, so like if I hit top view, it obviously reset my clipping plane there. So I wouldn't be able to do the set view thing again. But as long as I have this saved in my name views, I can double click. Always good. And then you just select your model like you did with the plan, type in Make2d, options. Grid shows up here. I made 2D some of my other drawings. Yeah, and so I guess, one thing always to be mindful of is that you're going to have to delete lines when edit lines. So like right here, for instance, I'm looking at like that beam, right? And then I'm looking at like another beam back there that's inside the wall. So it's, stuff that you wouldn't really, there, right? But you want that to be confusing, messy. But those are the kind of lines you want to just edit out. You could show the beams angled going through the wall if you wanted to. Yeah, that's up to you. But I would just remove enough lines that it's quite clear what. All that stuff back. The other thing to watch out for, of course, is like anytime you have a double line, 2 lines close together, like right here. If I don't want those to look really thick, but sometimes when you have 2 lines with a lighter line weight that are close together, it'll appear to be one line that is a thicker line weight. So yeah, you want to maybe structures. I think it would also be totally appropriate to show the cross section of the beam where it intersects with. Question. All right, and then same thing as before, you would just move the lines from the layers that they are on, Make2d, right click, select sublayer, and jump. Yeah, so you always want to check your line weights, scaled view. For when that happens. So there might be lines missing, there might be things that actually should be lighter and heavier and so on. And when you put it on a layout, you know at whatever level of zoom, that's how it's going to print. The last thing is an axonometric. Wanted to make an axonometric drawing. Just like with your plan and section, you can make 2D your view, your 3D model in any viewport. So again, you could go to top view and just orbit yourself in like a paraline view. You can also right-click viewport settings, go to set view and go to isometric. Most of the time, it's like you want to be mindful of whether or not you're in an angle in your 3D view that's going to be using. Example here is that looks like a building is just a loop. Not. You can choose any angle as long as it feels clear. And again, select your model, Make2d. And when you do a Make2d of an axon, you do want the option Scene Silhouette. Select that, click OK. Top view. And so if I right-click, select sublayer. Right. So there's no clipping plane objects because the model wasn't clipped in that view. But if I right-click on the sublayer Scene Silhouette, select sublayer, that'll, in most cases, it'll do a pretty good job of automatically making a profile around your drawing. And of course, in 3D views, those are your heaviest line weights, so you change that to your layer. Again, that's that heavier outline. So it did miss that line, right? So clean it up a little. Some of this is probably messy. Clean that up. But yeah, basic steps that cover it.